Hey, beautiful mama. Welcome to the Radiant Mom Rising podcast, where we believe you were never meant to just survive. You were born to shine. I'm your host, Mary Dibble, life coach, mom of three, and your biggest cheerleader in creating a life and business you love. Each week, we dive into real conversations about mindset, motherhood, healing, and purpose, helping you break free from overwhelm, rediscover your worth, and rise into the confident, radiant woman you were meant to be. Because when moms rise, the world rises with us. So grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and let's get ready to rise together. Hey, welcome back. I'm here with Scarlett. Thank you so much for being on the show today. How's it going?
Oh my gosh, it's going so good. I am really looking forward to this conversation today. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, I'm glad to have you here. So let's get started. If you will, just introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. So, hello, everybody. My name is Scarlett Stanhope, aka the Biz Hippie, and I am a money and abundance coach. So, what I do is I help coaches, healers, entrepreneurs to transform their relationship with money from the inside out so that you can support yourself financially while doing work that you love and living a life that you love without money being the thing holding you back.
Oh yes, that's such beautiful work. It's a lot of the work that I love to teach moms. So let's dive into that conversation. Will you, if you don't mind, to go back a little bit, tell us your backstory of your journey that's led you to do what you do today.
Yeah, and that's such a great question because it wasn't an easy or obvious journey.
Yeah.
Growing up, was the type A high achiever perfectionist. So I was the straight A student. I was crushing school, but I was also the 8-year-old with migraine headaches. And this achievement mentality really bled into my young adulthood. I was checking all of the boxes of success, and on paper, my life looked amazing. I was managing restaurants by the time I was 18, working really late hours, wearing 4-inch heels for 11-hour shifts, and I owned more blazers than I had pairs of jeans. All of the team members beneath me were older than me, but I was like the strict manager. At the same time, I also was getting my bachelor's degree in business management, accounting, and finance, maintaining my 3.9 GPA, had zero student loans, and was paying for college out of pocket, had no credit card debt, and had $30,000 in savings by the time I was 20. But even though everything on paper looked really great, inside I felt like I was a zombie living in my own life. I was depressed. I was burnt out. I was in a toxic work environment. I was in a relationship I had no business being in. I was covered head to toe in eczema, and I had migraines every single week just because my body was screaming at me, telling me that something was wrong in my life, but it still wasn't obvious to me. I was like, I'm checking all the boxes. I'm doing everything right. I'm chasing money and success, and I'm good at it. So, you know, someday hopefully I'll just reach this magic finish line that tells me that I've arrived and I have done it and I'm good enough and can take my foot off the gas. But one day I hit a really hard rock bottom. I had spiraled for a really long time, and I woke up and I realized, oh my gosh, life is actually happening right now. It's already passing me by. And the longer that I just wait to arrive and hope that someday things will be different, the longer I'm actually just continuing to waste my life. And that instead of living this life passively, I need to be the one in control of it. And I need to start making different choices and discovering what's important to me. What do I care about? What do I actually want to do? So it was a long and hard journey to kind of dig myself out of that hole and climb up out of that pit and start to rebuild my sense of self-trust and really consider like what is important to me, because before that I hadn't allowed myself to consider it. And then flash forward a couple of years on my healing journey, I got my bachelor's degree, and then 1 month later started my life coaching business, took a complete 180, set aside all things money and business and strategy and all that like intense masculine energy, and went full-blown hippie mode. That's when I started life coaching, became a yoga instructor, Reiki practitioner, started traveling the world and attending retreats. And then about a year into my coaching business, I was having conversations with people who were really struggling with money. And I said, oh my gosh, you know what? I actually have tangible skill sets to help you with this. And this is important work, especially for the entrepreneurs. So that's when I decided to become a money coach and really combine the strategic, tangible aspects of managing your money and being in control of your finances with the deep, powerful, transformative coaching modalities and techniques that I love and that I practice. And I've been doing that ever since.
Your story is so magical. I feel like anyone listening just can feel that because I think so many of us have been there, or some of us are still there, where you're doing all the things that you were kind of taught that is the right thing to do. This is how you succeed. This is how you have a life that's fulfilling, but it's like it's not. And we're so ready. We're just living in a time where so many of us women are just ready to make our own way and have the life that we want according to us for once. But some people don't even
Mhm.
know what that is. I get that all the time when you ask people, "Well, what is it that you want?" Well, I don't know. And a
Yeah.
lot of times we think, well, sometimes we even think we know what we want, but that's a whole like as we evolve and as things change, like sometimes things happen or show up that we weren't even expecting, that we were like, oh wow, I never even saw that being as part of like my passion or something that would be so fulfilling. So I just think it's incredible to hear these different journeys, but are very similar at the same time of people, like you say, getting to a point where it's like, I'm doing all the right things, but I still feel miserable inside.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really, really common in our society, this foundational belief that it's either or. And this is
Yeah.
what I like to call starving artist syndrome is either I can do what I love or I can make money, but I can't have both. And this foundational belief will keep us stuck in misaligned jobs forever and hold us back from truly pursuing our passions with the belief that it's irresponsible to do so. And I just need to suck it up and do the thing I hate in order to make money. But I believe that that's totally inaccurate. And this is just a false narrative that we are told to believe.
Yeah, and the work that you offer is so powerful because I feel like it's actually breaks my heart that so many people skip over this in hopes of just getting there. But it's like you don't even realize how much this is needed and crucial to not only get you there, but to prepare you for it. Because it's like, another thing like you had the success. I meet so many people who have the money, but it's like they're
Mhm.
still so unhappy because it's not really at the end of the day, it's not really about the money. It's about living a life that feels right. It feels aligned with who you want to be and how you want to show up and what you want to do compared to it just being about being able to pay the bills and feel that comfort that money's in savings or things are okay. So how do you how do you navigate that with people who are wanting to become an entrepreneur? There's so much to it, especially as in the life coaching. I see that it's like everyone wants to be a life coach. Not everyone, but when you want to be a life coach, which is a beautiful journey to go on, by the way, because I mean, having a life coach myself changed everything for me. So it's an honor, in my opinion, to get to do that for others. But at the same time, not everyone's really prepared for the entrepreneurial part of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so let's speak on that because I feel like that's something that I want moms to be aware of and knowing that there's a way to go about it that doesn't have to make you feel like overwhelmed or chaotic because there is support out there. So how do you help navigate that for those who are interested but have no really the concept of managing their money and things like that?
Yeah, and you said a lot of really important things that I want to highlight too,
Yeah.
because I think that we live in a society in general where
Yeah.
we chase having more money, and we think that once we have more money, it's going to solve all of our problems. It's going to
Yeah.
change the way we feel about money. It's going to help us get out of money stress. And then finally, we'll get to start living the life that we want to live. And this is just not the case. Living your most abundant life is not about the amount of money that you have, it's about your relationship with money. And this is especially true when we look at entrepreneurship as the avenue for living your most abundant life. You can think that once you have more money, whether that's in a 9 to 5 job or in your business, that everything's going to be better. But I've seen it time and time again that you can actually make more and more money and still feel exactly the same way about that money and about your life. And so when it comes to growing a successful business that actually supports you financially, and being able to live your best life and do the work that you love, Having a healthy relationship with money is foundational. And this is different than only like hustling and taking all the steps and learning to make more and more money. Yes, making money in your business is important, but also your business is a money making machine. It literally is the machine that money flows through. And so if you have a sticky, fear, scarce relationship with money in any way, that's going to bleed into your business big time. It's going to block sales from coming in. It's going to change the energy that you bring into your business. It's going to change the way you take action in your business. Or maybe even if you are bringing money in, it can cause you to throw that money out as fast as it comes in and for it to still never feel like enough. So when I work with entrepreneurs, I help them really foundationally change your relationship with money so that you can have this sense of confidence, enoughness, empowerment, abundance now, and bring that into your business. And that changes the way you run your business. It changes the flow of money in and the flow of money out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's so true. That is something I feel like has been the huge, the huge change for me and my greatest work, personally, was my relationship with money. Because I did grow up poor, and even when as a teen, by the time I was 15, we got evicted, and so I went through homelessness of like going from place to place to place, never really having a city home. And on top of that, I was a drug addict, so that didn't help. And the kind of places I ended up, and it wasn't until later in life, yeah, working with the coach, that I even realized that how much I carried that in my body. It's
Hmm.
like it's not even always about the words that you hear or that you are taught growing up, like, oh, we can't afford that, or money doesn't grow on trees. It's also about how the experiences we have. So, I grew up with a single mom, and I watched her work her butt off, and we still struggled, you know what I mean? Still lived in that income-based apartments. Yes, she had to get herself in like credit card debt just to make Christmas happen for us. And it's like, you don't even realize like how much that you carry that into adulthood. And it's like it's not even yours to carry. But yet we do, right? And so that's something I love to help moms and to
Yeah.
teach ourselves. And it was probably the hardest work I did, but it was the best work I did at the work. It was so worth it because I had to get real and even become aware. First of all, now, awareness is where it always starts, of course. And that's something we always teach, because without really understanding or being aware of the way you're saying or talking or thinking or feeling, you can't change anything, right? So, yeah, your relationship with money is by far one of the greatest avenues you can take, because that is what helps to help you to open up to receiving. That's another thing that I
Totally.
feel like is the opening up ourselves to receive is a huge thing, because that goes as far as even being able to receive. Like, I was actually talking with a friend recently, on a coaching call, and she was sharing about her story of, she's on vacation, she's traveling by herself, and she's run into these people, and like she's putting herself out there, being friendly, right? And they all of a sudden, this couple like really connected with her, and we're offering to come like pick her up and take her to the beach and take her to these places, like, and not without any expectations, but she's having to work on herself, because she normally has that feelings like, well, I need to pay them back, I need to do something, and it's like we
Hmm.
were having that conversation around, like, I'm really proud of her because she's actually practicing not doing that, not falling into those old patterns, because that is normally what you see so many people fall into. And when you've been doing it for so long, you do have that initial, like, I don't want to make them think I'm leeching off of them. And I said, but they wouldn't have offered if they didn't want to do that. It's one thing if
Yeah.
you, it's like, I could maybe understand if you were the one reaching out asking, even though we should be, it's okay to ask sometimes. But at the same time, I had to kind of let her reframe that and be like, but they wouldn't offer though. They're the ones choosing to put this out there. And they wouldn't do that if they didn't have the intentions of just helping you without any expectations. And so I told her, I said, maybe the most magical gift you can give them is just truly letting them know how much you appreciate it, and letting them know about maybe even your vulnerability of that you've worked on, that of like receiving, and teach them the power of receiving. That's a gift in itself, right? So it just,
Oh,
I
yeah.
want, yeah, I just love pointing that out to people, anyone listening. This is something I feel like is a practice, all of it, right? It's a daily practice that we do to help us to get stronger and make it easier and easier as different things come our way, and how we respond to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because your relationship with money is one of the deepest layers of personal growth and development that you can go into because
Yeah.
it bleeds into your sense of survival and
Yeah.
safety, right? So it
Mhm.
activates our fight or flight mode. And so many of us spend our lives in that
Yeah.
survival mode, and that changes the way we show up. It changes the way we take action, and it keeps us in a place where we're continuing to live the same habits, live the same patterns over and over again. And unless we do that deep inner work of bringing awareness to what is our money story, what is our foundational core beliefs,
Yeah.
and how have we been continuing to create this pattern over and over again, you can't really unwind it. And then when we look at business, when you
Yeah.
add a business on top of that, that exacerbates everything because your money also ties into your sense of self-worth. When you have
Mhm.
a job, someone's validating you. They're saying, like, yeah, you did a good job. This is how much you deserve to get paid. Here's your paycheck. So you can feel really confident in that. But when you're an entrepreneur and you are offering the service, and also the service is you, like if you're a coach, you have to have a deep level of self-belief, self-confidence in your own value, in your worth, in your ability to deliver, and feeling confident and capable of receiving. And your beliefs around money tie in there big time. So many of my clients come to me and they say, like, I don't want to take money from people. I don't want to charge too much. That's
Mhm.
harming people or hurting people. But in this story you just shared, this beautiful example of receiving, sometimes like giving people the opportunity to give is really powerful. It's actually in service to them to give them the opportunity to
Yes.
give. Like if you've ever given someone a gift and
Right.
gotten to see them fully receive it, like that is
Mhm.
actually also a gift for you. And I believe that this ties into our business, to our mindset around our price point, around giving money, around receiving money. That's going to show up big time in your ability to deliver powerfully to your clients and also
Yes.
receive money to support yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you just given that example with the gift, I just think about for moms listening, like how it feels with your kids at Christmas time or on their birthdays when you give them this, rewarding of opening up something and seeing their excitement. And it's like that's kind of what it's like. I mean, especially if you're in the life coaching industry, like you understand like the power of this transformation for people because what you teach and how we help people isn't just like, oh, a one and done off you go. It's like this is a lifetime tools and skills and support that you now can take with you for the rest of your life, no matter what level you're at. You get to go back and redo and evaluate and learn. Like this is something, this is like a lifetime value that people
Mhm.
get, even in the short amount of time that you may work with them. It's priceless. It's so valuable. And the more we believe in what we're doing and who we are and how we can help, because for me, I think that the imposter syndrome, of course, I'm sure you run into that so much. Everyone does, which is totally normal. So I always want to speak to that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, actually, you're on the right path, in my opinion, if you feel that, because I think it's totally part of the process
Mhm.
that we all feel, especially in the beginning. And, I've always said the failures and all the ups and downs are such a powerful concept if you allow yourself to reframe and understand that this is molding you and preparing you to actually help people. Because if success was just handed to you, if you just got exactly what you want overnight, then you're not going to really be able to help people because, for so many, that's not their path. That's not what it looks like. And that's okay, and I think that that's what makes each and every one of us having that uniqueness of like how it unfolds. There's similarities, but there's also such differences, and I think it's just more evidence of how abundant and how limitless there is out there for everyone.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think shifting the way you think about what you're offering is foundational, but it's one thing to just think about this consciously in your brain. It's another to deeply ingrain it,
Yeah.
especially when we have these old stories and what I like to call scarcity seeds. Because, and I think this is the piece that many people are missing, is the way that I like to explain it is imagine that when you were born, you were like super fertile soil, and then a bunch of seeds were planted in your childhood and they just started growing whatever. So most of us in the garden of our life have a bunch of weeds and random stuff in there, and it's not really that pretty. But then say you wanted to actually grow a beautiful vegetable garden. So you go outside with a bunch of carrot seeds and you just start chucking it at the ground and like chucking it at the grass, chucking it at the weeds, and you hope that those carrot seeds are going to plant. And I think that's how many people try to approach changing their relationship with money and healing their mindset and upgrading their abundance mindset is you're throwing seeds at what is already growing there, at the weeds, at the grass on your lawn. When really what you need to do is go out there and dig up the weeds that don't serve you and then plant the new seeds on empty, fertile soil. And so it's one thing to understand this stuff conceptually, but at the same time, you have to recognize that there's a pattern that is keeping you where you currently are. There's a sense of safety in the current financial situation that you've been living for your whole entire life. You might consciously might not want to be in this constant struggle and constant stress and constant, like the weight is on your shoulders and you're carrying your family and everyone's dependent on you and it's hard and you're suffering. But at the same time, there's a reason why you're here. There's reasons why you're in this pattern, no matter how hard you hustle or how hard you try. And you're going to continue to be in this pattern no matter how much money you make until you go back in and dig out the weeds that create this pattern deeply in the first place.
Wow. That's very powerful. And the analogy is fantastic because you're right. That is something so many of us, I guess, that instant gratification is what comes to my mind is that it hurts us so much in the fact that we don't give ourselves the time to like take out those weeds. We just want to hurry to the change.
Totally.
We want, and I get it. I get it. It was definitely a struggle of mine for so long, but that safety, that was the biggest thing right there when I realized that it wasn't about exactly what this person was doing or saying as much as it was the trigger and the feelings, the emotional feelings behind it that made me feel unsafe. And that is what initiated the reactions, the anger, the freaking out, the anxiety that came along with it. Because what you just explained sounds like exactly what I lived for so long. Of feeling like I had to carry the weight of the family, of everything. Like I had to work extra, I had to be the one to be on top of it all and act like everything was good on the outside when really inside I was screaming. And it was so amazing when I started really allowing myself to talk about it because I feel like that was always that's what I love about this podcast. This podcast is also it was something that came along my journey that I wasn't looking for, that found me and I said yes to. And I'm so grateful because I feel like not only was I meant for this, but it's been a life-changing experience and getting to meet people like you and just have these conversations and truly see the beauty that it has brought to all the listeners and just people in general, like the friendships I've made. I mean, there's some guests that I still to this day am connected with, and I love it. I love what I've learned. I've learned so much from my guests a lot of times than anything else. And it's because I've just put myself out there and decided to just go out and have this experience and allow it to unfold as it's meant to. I had no idea where this is, and I still don't know exactly where this is going to take me, but I'm taking it one day at a time and believing in what is meant for me. And I'm going to be ready and show up when it comes, because that's the thing with life. We don't always have to, we're not supposed to always have the answers, and that's okay. I mean, that's what kind of
Mhm.
makes life fun if you allow it to be that way anyways. I know it can be scary, the uncertainty. I know it can feel like crazy when you don't have that control. But when we learn how to live in the flow, which is something I love doing now, is living more in the flow rather than having all the expectations and freaking out when things don't go exactly according to plan.
Mhm.
Oh my God, it's magical. It's so magical. And it's like, and it's healthy physically, even for yourself when you work on that emotional health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that as we're talking about what it takes to shift your relationship with money, on the one hand, yes, it's deep work and can be really challenging and really uncomfortable because the reality is is that you're safe the way you are. And the idea of breaking free from that and stepping more into your next level of abundance, it can be really scary, right? Even if it's something that you want, for example, your friend or your client who's receiving more, right? Yes, that is what she wants, but at the same time, training her body to feel
Yeah.
safe in that and say, like, I can trust this, it's going to be okay. Like, there's a reason why you are where you are, and it comes down to safety. But also, all of that being said, when you know the method for feeling safe no matter what, when you know the method for unwinding these old patterns and these beliefs and coming back to a sense of safety, enoughness, and abundance, when you know exactly how to get to the root of these old weeds, transformation can actually happen very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And the thing is like this is getting down to the foundation. So when
Mhm.
you shift your relationship with money foundationally, when you change your beliefs about yourself, the world, and money, and then you show up differently to your life, miracles can happen and they can happen very quickly. And it can literally change the flow of money in your business overnight.
Yeah, okay, you're right. And then I see that in a lot of the mentors that I follow, like Kathy Heller, and everyone knows I love her and I talk about her a lot on the show, but she is my inspiration of seeing that unfold in her life. And just there's so many though, and outside of her as well, of people that I see who, like you say, it are when you match the frequency, like that's what I've learned a lot about, is that the frequency of our energy and what we're vibrating on, and what dial we have on the radio station as far as what we're putting out there, because we don't even realize that a lot of times, like when you focus on what you don't want, when you're focusing on the lack of, because you're stressing about money and things like that, how much we're actually vibrating that out into the universe is
Mm-hmm.
going to meet you with what you're putting out. So that's why this work is beautiful. Like you say, that foundation is a huge core part of what I love teaching as well, because for myself it's a big part of what I had to finally like take a step back and be like, you know what, Mary, this is not, I'm not showing up in the way that I'm believing or pretending to be. I've got to embody her now, that version of myself now, and really allow myself to let go of what's not serving me and step into that belief of who I know I'm meant to be. And regardless of my situation, I have to show up as her. So I had to do a lot of that inner work as well. Even the
Mm-hmm.
inner child healing is huge, huge, but I love it, because even now I'm at the point where it's like I can meet with her anytime I feel her, I see her, I recognize her now coming up, and instead of ignoring her or pushing her away like I used to,
Mm.
I actually sit with her and I love on her and I'm there for her. And it's so different because it just, like you say, allowing yourself to have those tools in those moments to be able to like recognize and then do something about it, instead of letting it just become an autopilot of just a reaction, or like you say, constantly coming right back to the same old outcomes over and over and over again. Even if even if you're doing different things, like that's another thing. It's like you could be doing different things but still creating the same outcomes.
Totally.
Yeah, so it's like it's not about always the strategy or what you're doing or not doing, because I think that sometimes that's the focal point. It's like how is my marketing, my messaging, all those things, but it's like it's really the energy behind it, the beliefs behind it, right? That's
Yes.
yeah, I
Yeah,
see
I
that very
couldn't agree
much.
more. I couldn't agree more. I say this all the time to my clients is that the energy behind the action matters more than the action itself.
Yeah.
And if you're taking action in your life from a place of scarcity, fear, lack, not enoughness, then anytime you take action, what you're creating is more scarcity, fear, lack, and not
Yes.
enoughness. And so it's so valuable to find this sense of enoughness, safety, abundance, and then take action from that place. That's
Yeah.
just energetic math. The
Yeah.
result will unfold naturally. But I also want to highlight too, because we've talked a lot about the inner work that
Mhm.
goes into living an abundant life and shifting out of scarcity and into abundance and the effect that can have on your business. But also, there's a tangible component to this that's just as important because I'm a huge yogi, so I'm a believer of the saying as within, so without. What's going on inside is also happening on the outside and vice versa. And so when it comes to really wielding the energy of your life and using that energy to create the life you want to live. The biggest way you can do that is actually by managing, tracking, and being in control of your money. Because my perspective is that money is a tool for manifestation. Every single time you spend money, you are making choices about your life. It's a form of taking action. There are three actions that you can take. Spending time, spending energy, and spending money. But most of us are unaware of what is actually going on with our money. We avoid it, we don't look at it, we don't check our bank accounts, we don't know really how much we have or where it's going, and we might even have fear around bringing awareness to it. But what happens when we do that is we're literally leaving 1/3 of our manifestation power on the table. We're ignoring it and we're neglecting it. But when you can see your money very clearly and know what's actually happening and know what's actually going on, your relationship with money starts to shift. Because when we can't see our money clearly, we just leave it up to the imagination. It becomes very subjective. This is where these old money stories, these old beliefs, these old fears, they come up and they take over. I've had instances in my life where things are going good. I'm feeling really abundant and solid. And then something happens. It might not even be a financial thing, but something just happens and triggers me. And suddenly I'm really stressed about money. And I'm like, oh, wait, what is this actually based off of? Then I look at my numbers, I see it clearly. Now we have an objective perspective, a clear story of what is actually happening, about what is really going on in reality, and then you can do something about it. Then you can be in control of it. Then you can start solving for solutions. Then you know what you're working with and working on, and it takes money from being this abstract cloud that's just constantly floating around you, and it gets it on paper in front of you so that you can be the one in control of it. So your mindset affects your money, but also the way you manage your money
Yeah.
also affects the mindset in a really big way.
Yes. And I mean, and I can imagine for some people that's like not easy. I hear a lot of people who struggle with budgeting and things like that. I was one of those in the beginning. I really did struggle with budgeting because um I think what was hard for me and my family was there was not a consistency of income. My husband only got paid what he worked. So, where I had the consistency and it was easier from on my end to do it, it was a little bit unbalanced. So, what would you say would be a great like just starting point for someone who's like hearing this and being like, "Oh gosh, I'm bad. I don't check my account. I don't do any of that. How do I get started?"
Yeah, and I think there's different phases to this. One is learning to be comfortable checking your bank account and just seeing what is going on. So if you're somebody that avoids it, how can you check it more regularly and more consistently and practice having deep breaths in that moment and notice what's the story that comes up when you check that number and when you see that number in that bank account, and how can you could even write that down and be like, what is the story that's coming up? And then ask yourself, is that really true? And remind yourself, listen, I am safe in this moment. I'm going to be okay. This might not be an accurate story to this number. And just what am I making this number mean about me? So I think that's one piece that if like you're just
Mhm.
someone who avoids it completely, that's the easiest way to start. But also, what I teach is that your bank account is an inaccurate picture of how much money you have, because your bank account is constantly ebbing and flowing, right? Like money's coming in, money's going out. It changes from day to day. When you just check your bank account at an arbitrary moment in time, that's just a snapshot of the river, but you can't step in the
Yes.
same river twice. It's going to be different. So, what I teach my clients is how do we zoom out and get a big picture and see what is actually happening down on paper. So I love to do a month by month breakdown of here's what came in, here's what went out, and here's where it went. Now you're starting to see a clearer picture of the money reality.
Yeah.
You can also then see what's the story that you're making that money reality mean. And also, that's where you can look at your money and say, am I living in alignment with the life I want to live? And if not, how can I make small tweaks and adjustments with my money to strategically move my money towards my vision, towards my next level of abundance? How
Yes.
can I use my money as a tool to create the life that I want to live, but do it from a solid, grounded, logical place? And you can really only do that when you can see your money very, very clearly. And this works no matter how much money you have, whether you have very little, whether you have a ton, whether it's inconsistent, like getting that real story of your money down on paper makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And you're right. It's an empowering, I mean, and it's not easy because I'll never forget the first time I did that. It actually scared me. I was overwhelmed because I was like, oh, wow, I didn't realize how much was going out compared to coming in. And it's like, but at the same time, like you say, when you get that picture, you can do something about it. It's like now I was able to then be like, okay, where can I cut things out? Where can we be more mindful? Where can we move things around so that it's not so chaotic of just spending, spending, spending without really being, aware of what's to come and things like that. It really does help. It's a
Mhm.
way of organizing. It truly is. And there's nothing like an organized mind, like in just having that organizational sense, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you got to. I mean, I'm a bookkeeper and my day job. So it's like I already was thankfully provided the skill sets of understanding that. I mean, what I realize now is like God was preparing me to be not through
Yeah.
that experience. But it's like it's wonderful because there's a lot I had to self teach myself all that. I never went to college, so it was like I've always been. That's the thing about me. It's like I've never really been a school person, but I am a very like a hands-on person. Like you can show me anything, it doesn't matter how new it is, I will get it. Like I self-taught myself, even how to edit, websites, learning all the things with funnels, all of that I taught myself. Even with my podcast, learning Descript, all that I self-taught myself. So it's like that's one of my gifts. That's one of my strong suits, which is what I love as being a tech girl. I love to help people to simplify it for them because I do feel like that stops people sometimes. And I'm like, no, no, no. Like, I want to help or at least find a way for them to delegate it to get help because that's so important. There's a sense also of power as an entrepreneur. When you learn the things, you get an appreciation for it so that when you do delegate it, you really appreciate that person who's helping you out too.
Yeah,
And
totally.
you kind of learn that too of like what you enjoy, what you don't like. Because I'll never forget in the very beginning, there was a situation where I had a VA and she got sick and couldn't do anything, and I didn't know what she was doing. So it was like I was like I stalled. I couldn't move forward. So that was a
Mhm.
moment that I had to realize, okay, you know what? I'm the CEO of my business. Like I shouldn't be so reliant on somebody that I'm incapable of stepping in. Because anything's possible. Anyone gets sick, things happen, whatever. So it was one of the things that motivated me too to like you say, face these things of like allowing myself to educate, learn, grow, and evolve. And then the next thing I know, it's like it's so simple. It's like, okay, now I got it.
Totally, totally.
I-
And so many people come to me and
Mm,
they're, I'm sure there's people listening to us right
I
now
know.
who are like, oh my gosh, that sounds terrifying and hard and complicated. And I definitely don't want to do that.
No. Mm-mm.
But also, one is this work is way easier
Yeah.
than it sounds.
Yeah.
It's just your mind telling you that it's hard and complicated. I have helped people of all ages do this. Like, I helped a 65-year-old woman who's never touched a spreadsheet in her life and is technologically adverse do this. That's
Yes.
how easy it
It
can be.
is.
But
Yeah.
also, when you're stressed about money, scarcity doesn't sell. So it's literally blocking the flow of money in your business.
Mm-hmm.
And 70% of your money stress actually comes from not knowing what is happening with your money. It's all in the unknown, and that's what creates the stress and fear. So getting it down on paper, seeing it clearly, it puts the control back in your hands and
Mm-hmm.
it eliminates around 70% of that money stress even if the financial situation hasn't changed at all, because suddenly you can do something about it. And so I believe when we zoom out and look at the long term, you avoiding it, not looking at it because it's going to be hard, that's actually creating so much more stress. It's leaking so much more money. It's blocking the flow of money coming in. It's actually way, way harder when you zoom out and look at your business and your life living with this relationship with money versus when you do some of the like short-term discomfort of
Yeah.
getting it on paper and facing it and learning the new skill of being in control of it and managing it. Yeah, that's going to be uncomfortable, but then it's just over. And
Mm-hmm.
then for the rest of your life, you're in control of it. You feel confident,
Yes.
you feel comfortable, you have the skill. It becomes easy. Like
Yeah.
I manage my money
Mm-hmm.
for half an hour every 2 weeks. It's like no skin off my back because I'm practiced in this.
Yes.
And then the greatest win that I see my clients get is suddenly money. managing it, tracking it, being in control of it, it actually can feel really fun because it's you wielding the power of your life. It's you being in control. It's you making powerful decisions.
Yeah.
And that's like the greatest gift you can give yourself is to fully own your power
Yeah.
and wield your money as a tool to literally create and manifest the life that you want to live. And that's what's really on the other side of this work.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And you're right. It is not, it's funny because sometimes I even like it sounds simple. It seems like it's simple, and it's like that's okay, actually. Sometimes it's the simple things that make the most difference than you realize because we technically or we normally like to overcomplicate things because we just expect it to be hard. We've been
Totally.
taught our whole lives everything's hard, life's hard, life's hard. So therefore, it's like when you see something that's like, oh, it's as simple as me just taking some breaths in a moment and allowing myself to feel my feelings. You think that that seems like, nah, there's no way that that's all that there is. I'm like, but yes, try it. Like, oh my gosh, it's actually quite powerful and it's really life changing when, because you know what it is? It's getting your power back, like you say. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, this work allows you to take your power back and allows you to change your reality in ways you can't even fathom. And that is what I'm so passionate about for myself, for the people that I get to work with, that I'm blessed enough for God to bring my way, that I get to serve and help them to find that way for themselves. I think that's what's so beautiful about this journey. It's a way of giving back. And it's so if you're listening and this is like hitting you like, oh my God, I am done. Like I've been struggling with this. I know that people like me and Scarlett are here for you because we've been there. We get it so much, but we also know what's on the other side. And we're also constantly working for that other side because it's like it doesn't stop. You know, it's like once you reach your goal, like let's say you have a goal of reaching $100,000 in your first year of business, or it's been a couple of years and you're wanting to reach that goal. Even when you attain that, you don't just stop and say, okay, I'm out. I've done it. You know what I mean? There's
Totally.
always the next goal, the next positioning where you can then make your first million. It's like there's so much out there, and this work just helps you to grow stronger and stronger in the identity of the woman you would need to be in order to carry that and to go through that. And that's what I love again is talking about these things and understanding. Yes, it's not like completely easy, but it's so worth it, and it gets easier and easier and easier the more practiced you become, because that's what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I completely agree. And I also believe like you're gonna put in the effort anyway. Like
yeah,
all the
right.
effort is gonna go somewhere. If anything,
Yeah,
if you stay focused on like the easy things or the surface level things or the taking action and the strategy and right, if you focus on that, if anything, it's gonna take so much more energy and effort in the long run versus when you take the time to step back and go deep into the big things that are going to make a huge difference in the long term. Even if there's a part of you that's afraid or scared or doesn't want to do it or it feels hard or I can't invest in myself or it's not responsible, right? And when you overcome all of that and you just do the deepest thing, that's going to make a huge difference for the long term. It's going to save you so much time, energy, and money, and it's worth it because I can speak personally from my own experience transforming my relationship with money over and over again. That's how I've built a successful business that I can support myself full time with this work that I love. Like, I know that this is the foundation. So, yes, everything that you said, I couldn't agree more.
oh, I love it. And if anyone's listening and they would like to learn more about working with you, where's the best place that we can send them?
Absolutely. So I have a few options. The first is if you're curious about transforming your relationship with money, the best next step that you can take is actually discover your money mindset type and learn how to work specifically with your money mindset type so that you can shift closer into abundance. I have a super quick, simple, free quiz that you can take to discover your money mindset type and how to start working with it. And you can get that on my website, thebizhippie.com/quiz. So that is the easiest, fastest route to get the momentum going on this work.
Oh yeah, I love quizzes. Yeah, those are the best. So awesome. Definitely check that out. And I always love to open the floor too. Is there any final piece of advice that you would like to leave with listeners today?
I feel like we touched on so much, but the most important thing that I really want you to walk away with listening to this episode is that living a more abundant life is so possible. No matter where you're starting from, no matter what your financial situation looks like, no matter how it feels right now, I want you to know that it's possible for you to live a more fulfilling life, a more abundant life. It's possible for you to do what you love and make money doing it. And I know that it's possible because I have done it. And similar to what you were describing, Mary, like I also grew up with a poor single mom. I never thought that it was possible for me to do what I love, live a life I love, and support myself financially. So even if it's feeling out of reach for you at this moment, I want you to know that it is possible and there are foundational steps you can take to make it real.
Yes, so don't be afraid to go out there and learn and do it. I
Hmm.
mean, it's waiting for us. That's what I always say. It's waiting for you. So it's up to you. You're going to go to it or not. So, oh my gosh, I love this conversation. Thank you so much for being here and for everything you shared. I think it's amazing what you're doing. I'm so excited for you and to see how you help so many others. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on the show. This was such an amazing and fun conversation. So yeah, I appreciate getting to come and chat with you today.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love it. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe below, follow along, and always leave a comment. Tell me what was your favorite takeaway. What are some things that are coming up for you through these conversations? I really love to hear from my listeners and know that I'm always here for you. If anyone listening is ready to take action and really follow through and implement the goals that you set out for, as well as work on that mindset and really step into your full potential and the CEO of your life, then I invite you, schedule your free 1 hour limitless mom strategy call with me while they're available. And let's explore where you are, where you want to be, and how we can bridge that gap together. I can't thank you all enough for tuning in each week. Always remember, until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and keep believing in everything that is available for you, Mama. You are worthy, you deserve it, and I'm so grateful to be walking this journey alongside you. Much love.